I want you to visualize all those people that have been mean to you, and then I want you to attack. I want you to visualize and then attack. Can you handle that?
I tried.
Just gonna try.
Hello, my name is Marco, and I'm the author of The Dragon Scourge, The Founder's Keep. This is my latest novel, Founder's Keep. And today I'm going to talk about editing and different tips on editing. And this was inspired by Chris from Twitter, and he sent me a prologue, and he wanted some feedback. And when I usually think of he asked for some thoughts, and I have a lot of thoughts. And I was a little bit reluctant. Most people, when they send something, they say, "Oh, look what, isn't this nice?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, it's good." But for me, when I share something, when I share writing, it's nice to get feedback, and so not everyone's thoughts are my thoughts. So when I share something, I hope I get some. If they liked it, why did they like it? If they didn't like it, why did they not like it? And I want to know everything, and it's so hard to get feedback because it's especially with writing, it takes a bit of time, and for some people, they just want to share, and if you mention anything, they just crumble and they stop doing it because they perceive it's attack on their person. It's not. Where for me, I get motivated by it, and I try to do better, or just take things in consideration. As it's nice to get feedback for me. So, but not everyone thinks like me. So I was very hesitant, but so I very diplomatically said, "It is very good. It is good. It's a first step in a long journey." It's a small thing, and I wasn't ready to slice and dice yet. Not ready to slice and dice. But I asked him, how much feedback do you want? I was 1 out of 10. Just want me to look at it and kind of say good job, or do you want feedback? And he said 10, no mercy. Sorry, you're making me do this, Chris. You're making me do this. He made me do it. But anyways, we're gonna slice and dice in a loving way.
He poked me in the eye. Captain Insano shows no mercy.
And this is not to be negative. This is supposed to be positive, and yeah, it's positive. This is positive critique. And the first thing I want to talk about is editing. And this is the whole topic of editing, because I'm not going to say anything about the content or a style. Everyone's got a style, and everyone's got the content, and we can look at other things that will clarify, help not only help Chris but help everyone, because the hardest part is getting started and making the prologue or the opening chapter. And that is a very daunting task, and so getting feedback for me is very reassuring. So I want to do this as this is a good thing, and sometimes it's hard to get feedback. Sometimes it's hard to get because most people are just too nice, and I'm a perfectly good stranger, and I'm happy to give it in a loving way. Let us begin. Dun 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 dun. All right. So editing, and I think not only Chris but everyone. I wish I had learned this a little bit before, but at the same time, not all these tools were available as they are now. Um, when it comes to editing, and part of this is experiencing this as well, because I'm an independent writer. I don't have a chain of professionals that that I can't afford to pay editors to brush up my manuscripts. So I'm very dependent on a very select, close knit group of friends that help me with this, that to help me proofread this, and they give me feedback on the plot, on the characters, and so sometimes it's not everything turns out perfect, but at the same time, George R. Martin, a very well-known fantasy writer, his characters are constantly changing eye color, and sometimes changing. So not everything's always consistent, and so I think it is very important whenever you send somebody something, even if it's just a rough draft, to do as much editing with your AI, with your keyboard, as possible. To get as grammatically sound, and sometimes you don't want to destroy the flow. So I get that. And this is a prologue, but if you're going to send like a couple of chapters, that's going to take a couple of hours, maybe a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks to go through. This is not just something nice you can do for them, but it's also something you do for you as well. Because let's be honest, people are people. They get tired. Maybe not tired of you, but try watching the same movie 3 or 4 times. After a while, you might not be as alert or as sharp as you were the first time watching the movie, or the second time, or the third. About the 4th time watching the movie, you kind of desensitize to it. So, it is important. So, not just for you, Chris, but for everyone out in YouTube land, every writer, you want to use your tools, your human tools, your friends, your editors, your proofreaders. You want to save them for the very fine things, because the computer won't catch everything. The computer is notoriously at fault for catching which is which. Or the computer won't catch your character's eye color or name changes or different things or plot. The computer doesn't have, it's not smart enough for that. But the people are. People are good for that. And you need to treat them as well as possible, because they're doing me, you, us a huge favor when they're reading and giving critiques. Like, that's, most people say, oh, that's nice. That's nice. Just keep doing what you're doing. Yay! That doesn't help. That's the opposite of helping. When you find someone that can articulate what they liked, what they didn't like, and and they're not trying to write a different book for you. That's amazing. That's what I mean. And you got that's that's a wonderful uh, thing to have, and not everyone has that. I'm very lucky, and so to reduce their fatigue is you don't want to try to expose them to the book no more than 3 or 4 times uh, for major edits. Uh, and that's generous. If they're willing to read giant manuscripts 3 or 4 times, that's being super generous with the time. And so do your best. There's software, Grammarly, some sort of Writer Pro. I haven't used that one yet. I might use it next time around. Some of it are you have to subscribe to it, but it's for me. I've found it is worth it. It's I yeah, it's your basic word editor is not always good enough. And so if you can use, and not everyone has the same resources, I totally understand, but if you can, use your spell check, use a editing software that's going to catch as many small things as in a efficient timely manner. And I know sometimes you got to strike while the iron's hot, and if you're making headway, you don't want to stop. But make sure whoever you're getting feedback from, they're not distracted or bogged down with the smaller things. Because eventually, you're going to want to edit your book. Eventually, you're going to, make it. You're going to want to clean it up. And using your human resources, your friends, your family, the readers, the proofreaders that are willing to give you the time of day, that is a resource you need to take care of. You need to, because having one person to read an entire manuscript once, and giving feedback is an amazing thing. Having them edit it as well, that's wow. That's so do as much as you can with the computer before you submit it. That's it. I've used Grammarly. I haven't, cause I'm gonna check out maybe was it Writer Pro next time or whatever, but it was a good resource. It is expensive, but it was worth it. It was like, why not just send it to an editor? Your editors, a professional editor, are humans too, and they're not emotionally invested in your work. Professional editors, they might not even like reading your manuscript. They might not even like fantasy books. They might not even like dragons. And they're just gonna, George R.R. Martin, they're not invested in his characters. They're not gonna notice whose eyes change colors or if their names are misspelled. Probably not gonna miss. They're gonna miss that because they are looking for editing things. Your friends might care. So take care of your friends, and your friends will take care of you. That's but I can't say that more than enough. It's something I wish I'd um, had known about, um, but through the process, that's something I've learned. Um, as um, yeah, and and your first draft is never as good as you think it is. But here we go. All right, so got some. This is cool, very cool prologue. It jumps straight into the action. Um, but here's the first word: night, dragon. What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say dragon? Now, I've got to talk to Chris, and I know his dragons are not typical dragons. These are more humanoid-like dragons, and so this human and this dragon are fighting, or I assume it's a human. It says night, so you can see my assumptions may even be wrong. Because knights, dragons, they come with a lot of pre-assumed baggage. Just with the word. And so that's I don't know if you'd want to call it a dragon. It is a dragon, technically, but so are fairies. But you have Tinkerbell, fairy. You have Bippity Boppity Boo, like the fairy godmother from Cinderella. It was kind of big. You have all sorts of varieties of fairies. You have was it the fairy from Maleficent? Fairy. You have elves. You have Keebler elves. You have elves, tiny elves making shoes. You have elves from the Lord of the Rings. That's it's going to be hard to introduce those because it's a different character. It's a different type of creation altogether. Sometimes movies are easier to make than books because books, you have to be you're basically leading a blind person by the hand, and some words are misleading. So we got a dragon and a knight. They're in a battle. They're fighting it out. All right. So, and there is a church spots is being spotted in the distance. There's another loaded word. Church. That what kind of church is this? I mean, if it's is this a monastery? Is it like is it a Catholic church? Is it a Protestant church? Is it more of a temple? Is it more of a I don't know? This church is because that is another word that is very vague, and it can produce a lot of images in people's minds that are, because we have a dragon and a knight. Right away, my brain, I see the typical dragon. Dragon, if you can see the dragon, the little baby dragon. That's what I see. But I know that's not what you're referring to, and this dragon has a sword. And there's a knight, and I think that's a human knight, but I don't know. And that's part of guiding the blind, the darkness. That's a very um, uh, um, so there's a dragon sits in the far corner of the room, and she is feminine in nature. Um, let's see. Um, that's really subjective. What does that mean? Um, hmm. You know, I was really inspired by Lawrence Yep, The Dragon and the Lassie. He made in a couple of good series, and uh, dragons moved a certain way. They felt like dragons, feminine nature. It's a dragon, very vague. Uh, it's. I understand it's the prologue. It's it needs more. It it doesn't have its muchness, as the Mad Hatter would say. It needs to be more muchier. Um, and he watches with guilty eyes. You, your eyes can say a lot, and I, me as well. I have to stop myself from doing this, but um, focusing on the eyes, it can be. Um, there's different ways of saying it, and there's other things that would. So a lot of repetitive, like the eyes, I can see will be a big thing. Uh, so so before he could finish, he spots a human wizard in the corner of his eye, just behind closing a portal. He watches with a guilty eyes as the portal finally closes. Turning back toward the queen eyes him, squinting in suspicion. What did he do? Um, Very vague, uh, and intentionally so. But the eyes. Um, um, we can use body language is an amazing thing, and like I said, I've probably, uh, you know, something I struggle with as well. And again, this is a first draft. It is just a prologue, but yeah. So dialogue in this is you want to get your dialogue. There's break it up. Um, um, you want like quotations around your dialogue and separate it. Have a paragraph. There's different ways depending on where you're from. There's the English way, and there's the right way, which is the American way of dialogue. You want to have that very, very defined. Right now, it's really squished together, and that's what punctuation is for, is to assist the reader. And everyone's got their style. You can make punctuation, but you want, I like having the quotations when they're speaking and having an indent. I'm a big fan of audiobooks, but sometimes it is nice to read a physical book and see how things are structured. Because there's certain things you miss as an audiobook. And there's, when I was in grade school and high school, I loved to read. I had backpacks full of books. So I know how they're structured. Now I very rarely have time to read, and I prefer to write. But I have read, and I'm familiar with the structure of the books, and that's something you're gonna want to clean up. It's something really very necessary. And so from the beginning, watch out for words that are loaded, like night. Night has what is a knight? When I say a knight and a dragon, how big is the dragon? I don't know. Because obviously you shared me some of your drawings, and I know a little bit about the lore, but someone coming with this, not a clue. Not a clue. No clue at all. Dragons, another loaded word. And so some of it's going to be more descriptive. As a prologue, it's a lot of action, but there's a lot of fighting. But there's no characters. The audience is not invested in it yet. And I totally understand you're building suspense, and but that's the only bad thing about action scenes, is if you don't have character. There's, the action scenes look great on movies, but if they're not, if there's no character development, it doesn't play well on writing as a script where your audience isn't emotionally invested. It's kind of a rushed. I think it's a rushed prologue. Lots of potential, but rushed. The prologue is letting the audience know, or the chapter 1 is letting the audience know what they're getting into. If I forget everything you told me about the lore and the different types of dragons, the dragonoids, and that they're kind of like people, if I forget all that, and if I just start here, I'm lost. I'm seeing things that I know you don't want me to, aren't intended to be seen. And the church, I think of, where's the church located? Is this Notre Dame, Or is this type of cathedral? Is this a, you know, so you, describe some of the architecture. Church is not the best word, if because the church conveys, it conveys religion. I'm not sure if you're trying, like, is this, so it's a human? Is this Earth? If it's Earth, then it's fine. It could be a church. And if it's Earth, and then are we talking about what kind of church? Catholic, Protestant? What kind of church? They all look different. If I say it's a Baptist church, there's an image in your mind. If I say a Catholic church, there's an image in your mind. If I say a mosque, there's an image in your mind. If I say a temple, if I say a synagogue, there's an image in your mind. That is important. So editing is big. Number 2, your words are important. And there's a lot of misleading words like feminine. That's not feminine, and not even getting in politically correct terms. I'm just saying, as as writing, as a technique, as a technician. Like I said, sometimes it's easier to make a movie now than it is to write, because then you're showing versus telling, and so yeah. Yeah, but and then the dialogue is very important. That needs to be fixed. You can find examples of it. You can research it, and I'm this is being a positive. Like I said, there's a lot of action going. Some of the positives: action, suspense, potential. 3 positives: action, suspense, potential. A lot of things going for it. Needs a lot of improvement. So, yeah. Keep up the good work. And that's a good start. That's a good start. Keep going. So it's one step in the right direction, and it is an important step. The beginning is the hardest part, because everyone has a good idea. Everyone has a good idea, put into words. Words are hard. Words are very hard. So that's my my critique. Thanks for sharing, and hopefully that will help others as well, because the biggest thing is don't be afraid to use some of the Grammarly. Is worth a little bit of price. Not a sponsor. There's other ones that are probably a little bit better. But that's what works for my iPad. I think there's like a Writer Pro as well, but yeah, I just editing is, and using your human resources as and I shouldn't say human resources, using your friends, or allowing your friends to help you, but you need to be good to your friends. If you're good to your friends, they'll be good to you. And it is a big time investment for everyone. And if people are willing to help, willing to critique, make sure they're not desensitized, because the second time, third time, fourth time, it's harder to pay attention because they've already seen it. And so it's really important to use your sources so you don't blunt your finer tools, if you will, your finer, your help, you're not, I mean, your friends. Like, if you tire your friends out on silliness, silly mistakes, and there's always going to be mistakes, always. But that's the thing, is we get done writing and it hasn't baked in the oven yet. It's still raw cookie dough, if you will, and it's never as good as you had imagined. And so that's what the second edit, that's what the third edit, that's what the fourth draft is for. And so it's a good start. And it's tough. It's tough getting getting critique. So Chris has been very brave, and allowing me to look at it, getting feedback, and hopefully this doesn't just help Chris. Chris is able to help all of us, help you out in the audience, because the editing process is a very slow, grueling process, and it's tough. It's tough. Not everyone's willing to take criticism, whether it's positive or negative, and so that's really cool. Keep up the good work, and if anybody else wants to share and wants me to go over there, have my thoughts on their manuscript, that'd be a fun thing. It'll help me, and maybe it'll help you, and it'll help everybody, and we'll all learn together. All right, take care.